I'm back again with another take two with Therese for Altenew, and today I have a stamp highlight, and it's this beautiful modern poinsettia, and I've got two different cards that I'm going to make. I'm using very similar products on both of the cards and getting a bit of a different look for each card. For my first card design, I've kept it very clean and simple. I'm working on a piece of 80-pound Nina cardstock that's cut the same size as the front of my card, and I've stamped out the floral image from the set, and it's in a really light ink. You could use any ink that you want because ultimately you're not going to be able to see this ink. And I used my Misty stamping tool so that I'll be able to re-stamp over this at the end, and you'll see why in a moment. The colour that I stamped the image out was vanilla cream, so it's very pale, and what I'm doing is just adding some, and it's fairly pale colours, to the actual poinsettia with some Prismacolor pencils. Basically what I'm doing here is laying down a base colour with it's like a cream and a little bit of a shadow in there, and then once I've actually added the base colour to the whole flower, I'll come in with some Gamsol and blend it out. I'm not being too fussy here because I'm not trying to colour it perfectly. I just want to add colour to the flower. And I have got a very big blending stump, FYI. They come in packs sometimes. I've bought them in packs, and for some reason they have these massive ones, and I presume it's for if you're doing big scenes or big areas, but it does come in handy when I'm doing a big flower like this. It didn't take long at all. So what I'm doing here is I'm replacing my cardstock within the Misty, adding a sentiment from the set. It's gorgeous holiday sentiments and a really pretty font in this set. This set is worth it just for the fonts, seriously. And I'm stamping it with some embossing ink because I want to add some glitter and glimmer with a rose gold embossing powder, and that's why it didn't matter in particular what color I stamped my flower initially with, because I'm actually re-stamping it and I'm going to be covering it with the embossing powder, so you're not going to see it anyway. So this is has like a pinky kind of sheen to the rose gold here, which is really pretty. So it's a gold. I always like gold. I think it's really elegant on Christmas card designs, and poinsettias to me look amazing when they're coloured in gold. The white sort of pale green ones look really pretty too, but we have them in our garden and they're bright red and they are stunning when they're out in flower. But today I just couldn't get gold out of my head, so I had to do it. And both cards have the gold throughout it. To add a bit more shading after I'd finished the embossing, I did come in with a darker pencil and just added a touch of shading around the embossed areas, just where the petals look like, oh, the leaves, I shouldn't say petals because they're leaves, just to add a bit of shadow beneath the leaves of the poinsettia. Then I've got the ink spray. This is one of the Altenew metallic ink sprays, and this one it's called Antique Gold, and it is a different shade of gold. And to protect the sentiment, I did actually cut a piece of scrap paper and pop that over top. Now, this generally dries fairly quickly, but I was being very careful when I added this to the front of my card because I didn't want to smudge this. And I have had an incident recently where that happened. So we're being very careful at the moment. And as a final touch here, I've added some sequins to the centre of the flower, just using some liquid adhesive. So very simple card design, and I think the gold splatters with the rose gold really bring it all together, and the other sort of tone of gold with the sequins looks really pretty. So my second design, I've got the flower, I've heat embossed it 3 times. I'm just going to show you one version of it here, but on some 110-pound Nina cardstock, and I'm using the coordinating mask stencil, so the negative portion of it, I'm just holding it over place of the flower and adding some gold, just using a little bit of sponge. You could use a finger dauber, blending tool, whatever you have. And this is one of the newer gold inks from Altenew. It's called Enchanted Gold. It's really pretty, and I'm just basically I actually have done the embossing first this time, because I knew that if I tried to add the embossing afterwards, the whole thing was just going to end up embossed, because this is a pigment ink and it takes such a long time to dry. So I did all three versions, all three flowers I should say, and then I have the coordinating die cut that I did cut them out with, and that will leave a little white border around the edge, which I think looks really nice. So I've seen that Jennifer Maguire's recently been making some cards, what she calls floating frame cards, and I wanted to make something similar to that because I think it looks amazing. And what I've done here is cut a piece of acetate. Now this is a very heavyweight acetate, and I've cut it just smaller than the front of my card. I've added some glue tape to the back of my flowers, and then just sort of placing them on, adhering them onto the acetate. And this will hold very well because the acetate will stick to everything, if you know what I mean. And then I can just flip the acetate over and use a pair of straight scissors, and it's easier if you use a nice long pair of scissors. It's easier to cut straight lines with those, and I was just careful not to cut the acetate here because it was a little bit hard to see. And then I've actually got, I can use the edge pieces of the leftover flowers to create, basically cover most of this acetate floating frame that I'm going to make. So there's lots of gold in this card. So on the front of my side fold landscape card, this is what I'm making this time. I know, mixing it up. I have already splattered some more of the antique gold spray. I've added some fun foam to the back of my poinsettia flowers, and then just pop that up on top of the card. I've got a merry sentiment. It's from the holiday script words die, and I'm adding the dotted adhesive to the back of that, and I want this to look like it's floating as well. And originally I was just going to add some foam tape behind the word, but I don't know, I was on the acetate theme today. So I decided to actually pop that onto the acetate and then add the foam tape beneath that, so that looks like it's floating up as well, just for something different. And I've added a sentiment. This is from the Starry Night stamp set, and I just stamped out the word Christmas with some Vineyard berry. And I know the layers are a little bit difficult to see on camera, but I don't know, I like the acetate. I think it looks fun. And I also added some sequins here, just in keeping with the other card that I've made, and I added them with some matte medium. So all the products that I've used, all the links to the blog posts will be in the description below. So if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to click on the like button, and if you haven't already, it'd be awesome if you could subscribe to the channel. There's always heaps of inspiration here. I look forward to seeing you back here real soon. Till next time, bye.